Thank you, Jayola Williams. Wow. So, moving along on that theme of songs, there's a really great chorus to a song, The Great Unknown. And the chorus goes like this. I'm stepping into the great unknown. My only road is the path I roam. Embrace a world I've never known, and I feel free. And it fits beautifully with our theme for this month, which is based on the idea that before we step into the great unknown, before we embrace a world we have never known, before we set out to make our mark, and before we move to bring our dreams into fruition or solve our challenges, before we do any of that, it would behoove us, it would really be of great benefit to go inward and upward, which is what we've been talking about this month, and we will continue. Before heading out, we ought to head in and up.
Yes.
And so, yes. And so we anchor ourselves in source first. We get that. That's why it's so important to have that connection with that indwelling power of all good. And we anchor ourselves. We connect with the divine wisdom, the love, the peace, the joy, the abundance, the limitless possibility that is the nature of the divine. And Ernest Holmes, in Science of Mind, gives us a sage and clear message in his wisdom. He writes, the control of affairs is from within out and not from without in. As I said last week, we sometimes look for all of our solutions from the outside when it's always going to be an inside job. No way around it. We can try, we can avoid it, see how that works. You'll get more of the same of what you want to release. So we're taking the time to go in and up to the source of our being before we move out in action. So today is part 2 of our Move Up series, which began last week, and I'm going to give you a brief review of what we talked about, 3.5 ideas. So we'll do the other 3.5 because it's 7 and we have 2 weeks. So I do my math, you know, I know. 3.5, right? So we'll do the second half. So the first one was look up, even though it's look within. We usually, when we say thank you God, we look up. Look up to the source of all good is symbolic. Lift up. And that's the vibration of our emotions. Are we in vibration with our word? Lighten up, which means exactly what it says. Lighten up. Oh my gosh, we walk around like, dragging this old stuff from the past. It's like, lighten up. Lighten up. Make it up, which is my favorite one. But we only did a half of that, so we'll do the other half today. So in the making up part, we get to decide what our story is going to be.
Yes.
What it is. You know, just because it's gone before does not mean that we got to drag it with us and stay our story if we don't like it. If we like it, keep it. So today we continue the journey up as we look more deeply at make it up, then move to kick it up, and then to give it up, and finally start it up. So today's talk's a little long, but I'm trying to skip stories, but then nobody wants me to, so I don't have to tell you, but then I like to hear, no, don't skip it. So. All right. So as I said last week, this was fun. We could take a clue from the prosperity guru, Edwene Gaines, whose friend had cards made up with her name on it, business cards, with MSU afterwards. And Edwene Gaines was very impressed with that, and she didn't know what it meant. And so when she went up to her friend and said, what does this mean? She says, make stuff up. You know, make stuff up. You can put letters after, you can get some business cards. Make it up. Put some letters after. People are very impressed by letters. You know, put some letters after that. Make it up. You get to make up the meaning of your life. Whoa, who told me that? No one ever, right? Who remembers the scene from the movie The Secret? I had the book. I was looking at the book. The Secret. There was a section in there where Neil Donald Walsh talks about the blackboard in the sky, if you remember. And In it, there was, he said there is no blackboard in the sky with our purpose, with our mission, with who we are on it. And he writes, this is what, he was quoted by Rhonda Burns as writing this. There is no blackboard that says Neil Donald Walsh, handsome guy who lived the first part of the 21st century. And all I have to do is really understand what I'm doing here, why I'm here, is to find that blackboard and to find that what God really has in mind for me. Except, he writes, that blackboard doesn't exist. We keep waiting for this magical moment, this delusional moment actually, where a blackboard is going to appear and tell us exactly what we're going to do in our lives. Your purpose is what you say it is. That's what your purpose in life is. You get to make it up. Yes, you get to make it up. You get to fill in that blackboard in the sky. And Walsh says, if you have filled it, if you fill that blackboard with baggage from the past, wipe it clean. Erase everything from the past that does not serve you.
Yes.
And be grateful it brought you to this place now, to a new beginning. You have a clean slate. As of this moment, you have a clean slate and you can start over, he writes, right here, right now. Find your joy and live it. That's what we need to teach our children. Find your joy and live it.
Yes.
That's what we need to teach them. I remember reading years ago, Deepak Chopra taught his kids that. Find what you really want to do in life and then follow that purpose, follow that guidance. So you get to make up life from this moment forward. You all have permission. I have permission. We have permission.
Yes.
We can do that. Make a new story about your life. And so this is what you can do also. You can reframe a situation that's already maybe taken place and write a new description, a new story there. Because here's the deal. If we step out into life, into the great unknown with an ingrained limiting belief, we will outpicture that belief because the law, remember, will respond to us, either intentionally or through default. So if we're moving ahead with this ingrained, inherent belief that we are coming from lack, limitation, or not good enough, we create more of that in our lives. That's why the patterns keep on playing out. And that's why we're here every Sunday to reprogram, if you will, to really get into that subconscious that holds all of this spiritual, I don't know what, crap. It holds all of this crap. And it's no nice word for it because it doesn't feel good. You know, if it feels good, I say keep it, embrace it. And you know what, even embrace the crap. Because then you can turn it into treasure. You can turn it into something good. So if you've heard any of these things growing up, money doesn't grow on trees. It's a dog-eat-dog world. The pie is only so big and you have to struggle to get your piece in life. You've got to work your fingers to the bone. Who made these things up? They don't even make sense. I've never seen a dog eat a dog. I mean, really, working your fingers to the bone? Who made this stuff up? And then we believed it. I mean, we believed it. Our parents believed it. Generational history believed it. Work your fingers to the bone. So if any of that sounds familiar, maybe it's time to lighten up and make up a new story, one that serves your highest good. Really.
You're here.
Yes. Here, I like it. Talk to me. Here at this center, you are being told each week that you are limitless, that you are filled with infinite potentiality. We talk about this every week. And we talk about how life is yearning to express through you and as you, and that life is that eternal fount of limitless possibilities, of life itself. You deserve all the dreams to come into manifestation that you can possibly experience. We deserve that. Each and every one of us deserve it. And that's the thing we got to really convince ourselves. How deserving are we making ourselves to attract that good into our lives? So here's the new story. Here's the new one. Feel free to make it yours if this scenario fits you. You were destined to live your dreams to the fullest. You were destined to shine as God's light, as you, in amazing ways, so that when you go through life's curriculum of struggle, you see firsthand how detrimental that is in the contrast. You see how detrimental that struggle feels. And your attitude then could be changed to what can really serve my highest good in the fullest way possible. The way whatever you see it in the world is how you see yourself in the world. You immediately are heading, if you feel that you're still in the struggle mode, you see, this is the good of the contrast. We'll take the old story, if it's not a good one, and think of the perfect song, Struggle, letting go of struggle, and see that we have limitless potentiality within us. We're going down the wrong track. Our nervous system will let us know. It does not feel right. It feels wrong. It feels completely like I'm struggling. I'm basing my whole life into, and you know what? Life stuff happens. So we have circumstances that happen. How are we responding to those circumstances is the choice that we get to consciously make when we learn that we have a choice. Yes. You have a choice. Yes. I have a choice. Yes. So, all right, got that out of the way. Now we can kick it up. Kick it up. So what does that mean? Kick it up. It means to tap into your innate enthusiasm. There's such enthusiasm and joy and passion for life within each and every one of us. We might have covered it up. It's time to let it back out again. Holmes, in his book, The Power of an Idea, wrote, "Enthusiasm is a complete assurance and confidence that there is a power within us greater than we are, that we may use. It should be our purpose to awaken this joy in us again and enter into the game of living, not sitting on the sidelines as though we were isolated, but on the field ourselves. It's God enthusiasm, and it becomes ours on acceptance." Yes. Are we accepting it?
Yes.
Yes. This is where I want all of us to go. And I tell you, I give these talks because I want to hear it. I want to feel it. I want to remember it. So I'm going to, if you would indulge me, tell a joke that I've told before, but it's one that fits in here and I kind of like it. Okay?
I love her.
I laugh at it before I even tell it. Okay? There was once a farmer who had, where's my David Livingston? I need him here. He's my favorite joke person. He loves to laugh at them. But anyway, there was once a farmer who had a female pig. And he decided that he wanted to raise pigs. So he made arrangement with a farmer in a nearby town to breed her with the other farmer's male pig. On the appointed day, the first farmer loaded his female pig in the truck, drove to the nearby town, and the breeding process occurred. The owner of the female pig said to the other farmer, "So how will I know if it's taken?" The second farmer said, "She'll walk around in circles, and then you'll know it took." So the next morning, the farmer looked out of the window with such hope in his heart, only to find the pig wallowing in the mud. So he loaded her back into the truck and headed back to the breeder. The next morning, he looked out the window again with hope in his heart, just to see her walking around in the mud once again. And so he was quite disappointed. Frustrated for the third time, he loads her in the truck and takes her to the breeder. The next morning, he can't bear to look out the window to see what she's doing, so he asks his wife. And he says, "Is she lying, rolling around in the mud?" "No," the wife said. Excitedly, the farmer asks, "Is she walking around in circles?" "No," said the wife again. "Well, if she's not laying in the mud and she's not walking around in circles, what in the world is she doing?" said the frustrated farmer. To which the wife replied, "She's sitting in the truck honking the horn." It fits in. The enthusiasm, my friends, in all things. So the question of the morning is, do you have a sitting in the truck, waiting for your life to unfold enthusiasm, honking on the horn? That kind of enthusiasm? You wake up in the morning going, "I'm ready for life." That's what we're looking for, yeah? That's what we're looking for. So the question of the morning, that's the question of the morning. Are you zealously embracing the fullness of this gift of that life has blessed us with, truly blessed us with a gift? We can always find so much great good to be happy for, to be grateful for. And I absolutely love this quote by George Bernard Shaw. This is what he said about life. "This is the true joy in life. The being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one. The being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of, and for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations." I love that. Burn that torch. Be walking around with a little teeny candle hoping it stays lit. When enthusiasm and skill work together, the end result is usually a masterpiece. So find what makes you come alive, whatever it is. Do it with enthusiasm. Do it with joy. Kick it up a little bit, my friends. Yes! Yes! Love that front row. Yes! Ernest Holmes defined grace, because we're going to talk about give it up. He defined grace in the Science of Mind book as the givingness of spirit to its creation. He defines love as the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. And so what's the common thread there in those two definitions? The givingness of God. The givingness of God. If we truly want to express God at the highest level, then we too must start really giving to life from the inside out, and be givers to life.
Yes.
Be givers to life. That's in the receiving. We get so much more. I was talking with Dana about that. We get so much more when we give. When we give. So in Buddhism, there are three kinds of givers. There is the beggarly giver. They give only after much hesitation, and then just the leftovers, the worst of what they have. The underlying belief is that there is not enough, and they must hoard what they have. Then you have the friendly givers. They give what they themselves would use. They share with what they have, and with less deliberation and more open-handedness. The underlying belief there is that there will be more. It's a friendly universe. And then you have the kingly givers, the highest kind of givers. They offer the very best of what they have. They share spontaneously and in the moment without needing to deliberate. Giving has become natural to their conduct, and the underlying belief there is that life is abundant. The universe provides rich abundance. And that's how the universe works. Whatever kind of giver we are, that determines what kind of receiver we are. It's all the same continuum. The giving and the receiving, it is the same thing. It's how the universe works. The law, remember, is is no lover of one individual person. It gives a light to everyone what is put into it. So from this consciousness, then, will you share your gifts? How will you share your gifts? And believe me, everyone has a gift. So if you're thinking, I don't have a gift, what do I? Everyone has a gift. Every single human being came into incarnation with an inherent gift in their heart. Sometimes more. Gonna skip over that. Okay. So, now we're gonna get into the final move, which is start it up. Okay? Start everything by listening to that still small voice within. We talk about that, our intuition. What would you have me be today?
Yes.
Yes? What would you have me be today, Spirit?
Oh, God.
How can I experience more good in my life? You're talking to your God self. It will respond. It will give you back. So when St. Francis of Assisi asked those questions, he heard, rather than being in hatred, let me be love. He heard, where there is injury, let me bring pardon. He heard, where there is doubt, let me bring faith. He heard, where there is despair, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. And where there is sadness, let me bring joy. Those are our choices. Are we turning within and truly asking the divine the question? I would suggest that we listen to that still small voice. The infinite wisdom of God knows exactly the perfect energy for you. Knows it. Really, if you've ever sat in a clear moment of meditation and asked a question, you will definitely get a clear response, and then it's up to you to follow it. Every day is an opportunity for us to simply choose to pay attention. What is that quiet voice in me saying to me? What is it guiding me to do this day? Practice listening closely to that voice, because it is filled with such infinite wisdom. But for now, we have a chance this morning to commit or recommit again to going inward and upward before venturing outward and trusting these 7 ups that we've discussed. Look up, the presence of God, all good. Lift up, the vibration of our emotions by choosing a different thought. Lighten up, can hold things lightly. Make it up. Decide our future and what our past means. Give it up. Express our divine nature by being kingly givers. And kick it up, being enthusiastic and being filled with the passion and joy of life. So much good. There's so much good. I just finished a whole weekend of so much good. There was so much good that I was, being in my human self, like last night, I was like, well, I could have went to that one too. And there were so many things to do to express joy. And so I missed the witches thing in Mount Holly because I was being joyful with another group of people. There's so much, there's so much to do. And it's not about money. It is not about status. It's about really choosing to enjoy life to its fullest. Yes, fake it till you make it. And now I'm going to end it with, start it up. We're going to do that one. So start it up. Always start anything by first going within for that guidance, for that wisdom. So I'll end it with 13th century Sufi poet Rumi. He wrote, come whoever you are, wandering, worshiping, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows. 100 times, 1,000 times. Come again. Come. So I'm inviting all of us to come on up and to share life, because it is here. It is here for the taking. I invite all of us to find something to enthusiastically celebrate life about and with and in and to. I'm just loving it all. All right, and so it is.